Hi all, it's Di from Refurbies, and today we're going to be using Pureco products to refurby a very sweet little chest of drawers. Stay tuned to see what we come up with. The products we're using today is the lemon Myrtle cleaner from Pureco. We use this to clean our brushes and our piece. We'll be using the colour Meadow in the silk finish from Pureco. Pureco satin finish top coat. Pureco stain and glaze in the colour carob. A 25mm brush from Sleek. Green sponge applicator from Pureco. And these gorgeous little flower draw pulls that you can find in our refurby shop. I'd painted this in grey before and changed my mind, but I went ahead and scuff sanded all that off and completely sanded the top back to raw. Everyone has their own technique, their own routine when they paint. Mine is to do 3 light coats. This isn't always necessary, it's just the way that I've always done it, so it's the routine that I follow. This piece definitely could have gotten away with 2 coats because it had that grey underneath that I'd started and changed my mind about. But I went ahead and did 3 light coats anyway. Just to make it a bit more interesting, we're going to add some stencils to the drawer sides. So the first thing I like to do is I like to loosen the screws in the runners. I do this so I can just slip the stencil underneath and get it a bit lower to the runner. Now, untightening the screws is usually fairly simple. Just remember, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and you'll get it done. Once that's done, I'll pop the stencil just underneath the lip of the runner, get it to a position I want it to be in. Grab my stencil brush, dab off the excess. I just dip the tip in, dab off the excess, and then I hold the stencil down and apply the paint in a dabbing motion. This method is the most effective I've found. It stops a lot of bleed through if you just dab. It's very tempting to swirl because dabbing is very labour intensive, but stick it out, do the dab technique, it's much neater. Load up the brush when you need to again, wipe off the excess and go back in and finish off your stencil. Now I want this to go beyond where the stencil finishes, so I'm just going to use my heat gun to just quickly dry it. It won't take long because, you know, you've just dabbed it on there. It's not a lot of paint, so just drying the end where I'm going to lay the stencil back over. And once that's pretty much touch dry, I'm going to carefully position the stencil on the end where I want it to go. Then once I have that in the position I want, being careful not to make a mess, I will finish off the rest of the drawer side. Okay, so not forgetting to retighten the screws before you flip it over, which I did multiple times while doing this. So just retighten the screws, flip it over, do the other side exactly the same way, and continue on with the rest of the drawer sides. So now we take a look at our piece and see that we've gotten paint everywhere that we shouldn't, so it's time to tidy up the edges of the top and get rid of all that paint. Here it is now, all tidy and ready for staining. Something went wrong when I was staining and it didn't record, but here she is, all pretty, all stained in Pureco's new stain in the colour carob. Okay, we're about to apply our final coat of top coat. Today we're using Pureco's satin finish top coat. This is a new product. It's only been out for a little while and it's just lovely. First things first, we're going to give her a good stir. We're also going to be using the Pureco green sponge applicator to apply our top coat. This gives it a beautiful finish. No brush strokes, just lovely. So stirring away, give it a good stir. Make sure it's all combined, and once you've done that, it's time to apply it. Now, my technique to applying top coat is always to start with the sides first. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it on the side first, because I don't want to do that after I've done the top and then I've got my top coat going in different directions. So I'll apply it to the sides first. This is just the way I like to do it. You may like to do it differently. Then once I've done the sides, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start from the front and work my way back. I'll work just probably 6 inches, like from the front to 6 inches up, and then I'll go around to the other side and do that so I don't get my clothes hanging over the bits that I've already done and smudging it and all that sort of stuff. I like to keep some distance between me and the top coat. So I kind of just threw it on there, but of course you can smooth that out as you go. Now, the motion I'm using there is kind of like a rocking motion. That's what works for me. Again, technique is something that everyone develops in their own way. Now I'm going to move around so I'm not hanging over what I've done, and I'm going to work from where I stopped and pull it back. So this last bit I do here is I'll run my fingers around the underside of the lip of the top. I do this because too many times I've helped someone load their piece into their car and I see all these dried up drips from the top coat. So I do this to make sure that there's none of those drips there. So that's it. She's all done and ready for her reveal.